America's election integrity debate is back at the center of the political discourse, with US President Donald Trump delivering a prime-time TV address claiming that America's elections remain vulnerable to manipulation. He accused previous administrations and intelligence agencies of hiding critical information and renewed his push for sweeping election reforms ahead of the 2026 midterm polls. But the documents released by his own administration tell a more nuanced story. In a nationally televised address, the president claimed that America's voting system remains vulnerable to manipulation and warned that public trust in elections had been severely damaged. Donald Trump also vowed to work with states to fix technical vulnerabilities before the upcoming midterm elections, calling for stronger safeguards to protect the voting process. But documents released alongside his speech do not support some of his strongest claims. One intelligence assessment made public by the White House states that the vote tabulation system would be extremely difficult to manipulate on a scale large enough to change election outcomes. The documents also reveal no major new evidence of widespread vulnerabilities or proof that election results were altered. Donald Trump also accused China of obtaining voter data from multiple US states, suggesting that it was part of a broader effort to interfere in American democracy.
Announcing the immediate declassification and release of critical intelligence, revealing shocking vulnerabilities in our election infrastructure. This evidence shows that the election system we have dangerously exposes like levels never thought possible to hacking, exploitation, and foreign interference. Starting during the 2020 election cycle, the People's Republic of China carried out what is believed to be the largest compromise of election data in history.
However, US intelligence assessments indicate that the data involved was largely publicly available for voter information. Commonly used by political campaigns, and analysts concluded that Beijing's primary objective was to influence operations rather than manipulating them, not altering the vote counts. The documents further acknowledge discussions within intelligence agencies over how to communicate concerns, but they do not show evidence of a coordinated Chinese effort to change election results. Donald Trump also referenced allegations involving Venezuela and electronic voting systems, yet officials associated with the document review said that there was no evidence that voting machine had altered election outcomes in the last 3 presidential elections. Now, another notable aspect of the address was that Donald Trump did not emphasize, despite years of focusing on alleged Russian interference. Russia received only brief mention during the speech, with Donald Trump's criticism directed primarily at China, as well as US intelligence agencies and the previous administration. The president also renewed his call for Congress to pass the Save America Act, legislation that would require documentary proof of citizenship, photo identification for voters, and tighter restrictions on mail-in voting. Critics argue that these proposals do not directly address the foreign cyber threats and election security concerns highlighting during Trump's address. Meanwhile, China has responded to the allegations made by Donald Trump. They have said that they have no interest in interfering with the US elections following Donald Trump's allegations. Listen in.
I'm announcing the immediate declassification and release of critical intelligence.
美方的有关说法纯属无中生有、恶意抹黑，早已被证明是无稽之谈。中方历来坚持不干涉内政原则，没有兴趣，也从未干涉美国大选。相反，是谁动辄干涉别国的内政，长期无差别的监控全球各国政府、企业、普通民众，大规模的窃取他国公民的数据，国际社会看得清清楚楚。
上海举行，中方如何看待成立该组织的意义和影响？该组织，
我们敦促美方反躬自省，停止无端的抹黑中国，不要在选举中拿中国说事。多做有利于中美关系的事。
And to discuss more on this, I'm being joined by former Ambassador Manju Seth is with me on the broadcast. Thank you so much for taking out the time and joining me on the broadcast. Ambassador, how do you see Donald Trump's address to the nation and his renewed push towards and shifting the focus to election rigging just before the midterm election? Do you think it's a desperate bid or a smart political strategy?
I think a combination of both. We have seen how his popularity ratings have come down with this never-ending war and conflicting, contradictory, inconsistent approach to, to ending the other wars and also to the problems faced within the country. I think that has, created a lot of negative perception of the U.S. president and of this current term. Because unemployment and costs and inflation, everything unemployment is higher, inflation is higher. So people are feeling the pinch in the US, including the Republican supporters. So I think maybe the president believes that now putting a doubt on the election process will, make his constituency or his supporters rally behind him, because there were some, rumblings and mumblings in the Republican supporter base because of this war that is going on and the tariff wars as well, and the negative impact on American citizens and Americans in general. So I think this could be a kind of to divert the attention of the people and to make them understand that there are vulnerabilities in the system. So you better be careful about how to, and that's why he wants that American Citizenship, Act. The America Security Act. I'm just forgetting what it's called.
Right.
So change that and to implement it so that voter ID is, made mandatory for these elections, and so there's no chance of any hacking or any other manipulation possible. Though that I cannot say whether it will be fully possible or foolproof, but yes, it would help to make it a little more foolproof, the whole system of elections. And of course, elections in each state are controlled, by each state. They're not controlled by the Central Commission or Central Election Commission or something like it is done in India. So I think this could be an attempt by him to make people sort of rethink because they're all going against, the presidency and the current administration. There's a lot of rumblings and a lot of, unhappiness in the general public. And so I think they would. Though he hasn't lost, having said that, he hasn't lost his support completely. He still has many supporters for what he's doing, and also for this new China bashing. But of course, I think the last time also China did not want the Trump administration to return. Yes, informally, but I don't think any country is going to accept that they did, do anything to influence the elections. They will try and influence, of course, the general public, but I don't think that they would, try and influence the system. But we can't say in the age of AI and in such quick, fast-changing electronic and AI technology, anything is possible. But the proof doesn't appear to be supporting that. But we can't be 100% sure that there was no influence from outside. But the president, I think, is trying now to put a lens on this forthcoming election to boost his winnability, I think.
Well, Ambassador, since you mentioned China, I want to throw some light onto that. While he was making those allegations, addressing the nation, White House had released the document saying that such large scale of voter manipulation by a foreign country is highly unlikely and it's extremely difficult. So why go ahead, make such bold claims when your official documents, that too from your administration, is contradicting you?
I think also because he's a businessman, he's a politician at the same time, but of course primarily a business person.
Right.
So I think he is trying to approach it from that angle, trying to sow doubt. You may not have the proof or the evidence, but you make that kind of allegation so that as they call it, the whole share markets and other indexes around the world, they depend on sentiment. So I believe this could be another attempt to influence sentiment in the people and to make them feel that it is vulnerable and it is possible. So you better be careful, and we need to have our voter ID system in place so that there is no chance of anyone, even if they do hack into the system, which has happened before also, and they were earlier blaming Russia and Iran as well. And we do know that these countries did have an interest in ensuring that a new administration which comes in would, or not ensuring, but influencing, trying to influence and not necessarily through hacking, but just to influence them, to make them understand that this, what is the best for the American people. So they do those
Right.
kind of campaigns. But I don't think that, as per all the evidence, it doesn't seem that it actually happened. But it is now, President Trump's attempt to divert attention and to again put a lens on it, and so that in the midterm elections, his chances of winning are increased. I think that could be a reason.
Ambassador, also I want to talk about, he went on to say, appeal for the Save America Act, and how he went on to say that I will make sure that the election protections are back up. He called for bolstering the protection that he has only dismantled in his first term. He has spent his second of the first part of his second term in putting those election protections down, and now he's talking about that we need stricter measures while we are voting.
I think we have seen all along, especially in the second presidency, that President Trump is inconsistent. He is liable to change his statements quite often. And he believes that, yes, if he has said, he doesn't acknowledge that he has made a mistake, but he just goes forward with his agenda on everything we have seen. And
Absolutely.
he says that whatever I'm saying is right. Yes, it was there. What I said earlier, he never sort of puts those things in context or refers to those. That's his style of functioning, I think, and his style of working. And he thinks that maybe in business it works like that. We don't know the way he conducts his business. But I think he's trying to do the same here. And it may or may not be very effective. But yes, some people, his supporter base, would definitely come back, and they're alarmed that the election could be influenced, it could be hacked, and the system could be hacked. There will be some concerns, and they might rally behind him again so that the Republicans don't really lose both houses, both chambers.
Well, thank you so much, Ambassador, for taking out the time and joining me on the broadcast with those meaningful insights.
Well.